Insidious, The Last Key is the sequel to Insidious Chapter 3, but the prequel to Insidious. Yeah. Also, before we get into the plot, I would also like to bring up how I made the point in my last review for Chapter 3 that this franchise super regretted killing that old lady in 1 because this is even more of an origin story for the psychic old lady. Yup, crazy. So this story starts with the old psychic lady, but she's a child. And it's just kind of what happened to her when she was a kid that kind of defines her as the old psychic lady. And it was pretty bleak. She had a super abusive dad, and she kind of encounters this entity that she won't even have to deal with again until she's an old lady. So, fast forward, this is the events after Insidious Chapter 3. She's an old lady again, and she's working with those two dudes. Well, she ends up getting a call, and it's a guy who lives in her old family home. And basically, he's calling her because he knows that she used to live there and that basically ghosts are haunting them. So she and the two dudes go and try to help this guy out. Well, some events unfold, and without too many spoilers, things aren't what they seem. Well, in town, she ends up seeing her little brother, who's an old guy now, and he kind of resents her because he didn't have psychic powers, so he never really believed anything she said. He was just mostly scared all the time. So when she gives him evidence of like this whistle that he lost when he was a kid, and he's like, oh shit, there might actually be ghosts or something happening. Well, him and his daughters end up going to the house, and the key monster ends up basically taking the souls of one of his daughters. And it turns out that the key entity is basically the big bad of this movie. Well, now it's up to the old psychic lady to basically go into the further and rescue her brother's daughter from the key monster ghost entity. And yeah, that's basically the whole movie without too many spoilers. So, my review of Insidious: The Last Key. The key entity was honestly just a very cool creature design, and it sucks that it was put in this movie because this movie just didn't need to be made. And the only thing honestly good about this movie was the key monster entity. This is just a sequel to a prequel that offers nothing to the franchise besides a cool entity design. Besides that, it's the same old jump scares, and it's just they killed the lady in the first one. We already got the backstory from the third one, and it's just more backstory. Like, besides that, I did like the movie, but I also like all the Insidiouses. I think this is just a really good franchise. I like the jump scares in the movie, but then again, like I said, that's all this is just jump scares. So, my rating for Insidious: The Last Key would be a 4.5 out of 10. This movie adds nothing to the story, why at least Insidious Chapter 3 did. It felt like a movie they didn't have to make, which isn't bad, but it's not good. So, is Insidious: Last Key worth a watch? It's definitely entertaining, but it isn't something you gotta go out of your way to watch. Once you watch Chapter 3, I feel like that was meant to be the wrap up, and you basically watched the whole thing.